So Tracey, would you like to, well, first of all, thank you. We've got rid of the monkeys, by the way. There was a little bit of a flurry because we had some monkey problems. Literally, the monkeys were eating our lunch. So now we've sorted that problem out and we're back here again to continue sharing with everybody. And Tracey is going to share with us now. Would you like to tell us how old your children are and your story about coming into home education?
Yes. I'm a mum of twin boys. They will be 16 in September. And basically, homeschooling was never on the cards for me. My children have always been in the system. And last year, February, one of our boys fell ill. And we basically just moved him from school to school through the year, thinking maybe the school hadn't suited him. It was the beginning of high school. And ultimately landed up towards the end of last year hiring a tutor who came and taught him at home. And then beginning of this year, we started again with, no, we're going to put him back into a schooling system. And I signed him into another school. And it didn't work. And basically, for all my fighting of homeschooling, because I'm a working mom, I'm sort of in a situation where leaving work wasn't an option because we run a family business. And it's funny because Dylan is now homeschooling, and then I sit with him in the evenings. Well, we do have days where we just fight because it's quite challenging to discipline him. And we go through everything, and it's actually been quite fun the days we do sit together because I find I'm learning. And I've come to realize that homeschooling's actually been the best thing for him. It's a much calmer situation. He can do it at his pace. What I've noticed with Brent being still in the system, the other one, there's just so much unnecessary stuff. And I see the pressure he goes through. And I often say to him, are you sure you don't want to homeschool with your brother? You don't think, but he's very much, he needs the social side, and he's worried about leaving and not having his friends, even though deep down, I do believe he's actually starting to look at his brother and think, what am I doing? Because the stress of being in the system and the pressure really, and then he comes home and he sees how calm his brother's environment is. I mean, Dylan, we managed to school in 2 hours, and I'm one of these moms that I'm really struggling to cross over from the conventional. I'm very structured, and I look at like Brent, I'm thinking now, is Dylan doing enough? Are we, am I making sure he's getting everything? And in a way, I think God's also put our family down this path because it's taught me a lot, as well as our children. I find I've got to just keep reminding myself, it doesn't matter. If he misses a day, is it really the end of the world?
So it's really great. Thank you for sharing. I know that it's not easy. I understand that, you bearing your heart as far as your difficulties. But I was really interested for you to come and share with us because of the few things we've chatted about at the Encouragement Day and at the retreat as well. Yes. About how things have changed in your life since you change, as you say, you're a mom that likes things to be in a certain way, and you're thinking that he needs to be measuring up against
the brother that's still in
the brother
system.
Or the system or the world. But now God is starting to show you that's not actually what you must be measuring it against, but be measuring against God, not against the system. Yeah.
And I find as well, you get so caught up in, the way the world goes, your child must be this, and everything's achieve. And I've always had this thing that, my kids must get good jobs and they must do this, and you get so caught up in it. And with Dylan's journey of getting sick and just the way the last year and a half has gone with him, his growth spiritually has been incredible. If anything, I would say that my husband and I were actually talking about it, because obviously we have days where we're very distraught and we do worry. We think, oh my gosh, what is his future? Is he going to be okay? And I said to my husband, I think God's trying to show us that what our plans are for is not what his plans are. Mm-hmm. And I think the most important thing is just, like I say, Dylan's spiritual growth. I mean, it has been an incredible journey, which we've thoroughly enjoyed with him. And we were actually saying the other night, we think he's going to land up becoming a pastor or missionary or something, because he's talking a lot to us about it. Like, he definitely feels a calling in that direction, and not in the direction that we're getting caught up, that we think he must be an architect or this or that. So I'm actually, as frightened as I am, because it is scary, every day you worry, I'm also so excited.
You have heard that worries a sin, hey?
I know.
So you better
I'm
do something
trying.
about it. You know, you can push the delete button. Sitting there, oh, oops, delete, boom,
Yes.
carry on. Yeah.
That's why I say I think a lot of this as well is God dealing with me and my personality and showing me, you've got this all wrong.
Yes, if you, but what you must do is do something for him, for God, that will help you to get that worry out. So I'm worrying again, Lord. Now it's an opportunity for you to call on him.
Yes.
And ask him, help me, please. I'm worrying again. I'm sorry. I know I mustn't worry. I've got to trust you. Dylan is in your hands. He's on your path. We know that. We feel peace about that. That's what I picked up from you as well, is that you're confident that he's in the right place now.
Definitely.
Because what you've just told me, he went from place to place to place to place, and now you settled and he's settled.
We're actually very calm.
Yes,
and
there you go.
The funniest thing is, the other day he was pushing, because obviously he's finding it very lonely and he does miss his friends, even though I've got amazing friends who do homeschooling, and I go to the art lessons with them and we try and encourage as much. But he does often say to me, he does miss that little bit of interaction. So he brought up going back to school next year, and I actually had to laugh at myself, because my first reaction was, oh no, we're not going down this road, because I've just found, just watching him, and the spasms have stopped. Life is just simpler, and he's learning. I need to stop stressing that he is picking up those textbooks. There's nothing wrong with him. He is going to be fine.
Wonderful.
And he's most probably learning much better lessons than being in a school.
I don't know if it's a most probably. You know, I think it's I think so, because from what you've shared of his health struggles, going from place to place, and just not even from a schooling academic point of view, he wasn't coping, from what I've gathered. So now there's all these positives that you're talking about. So it seems to me that it is very much that, just positive on his life and for the calling on his life, as you said, and he's been able to find that now as well, rather than the focus being problems. And also his brother, you know, I remember also you mentioning that you were concerned about how much time Dylan was taking of you, and you were feeling your concern towards the time for his brother, because and now I would imagine that's changed as well.
Our whole family dynamic. I mean, if I'd have spoken to you last year, I would have sat here crying, because last year was a horrific year for us as a family. We felt like our family was falling apart, and we couldn't understand what was going on. The brothers weren't getting along. It was a very difficult, and our whole family dynamic has done like a 360. It's been incredible. My sons are close again. I can see the support there.
Just there.
It's God definitely had, you know, my husband said to me when our son fell ill, my husband got quite cross about it and said, you know, why him? Why is this happening to us? And I think we've had to realize there was a reason that this happened, because our family needed to be brought back to where we had obviously wandered off the path, and it was God's way of saying, come, we need to get you guys back on track now. So it's been an amazing journey, and to a level that I'm even looking at trying to alleviate my work schedule to become more now where I'm more available and being at home. So we've got a lot of changes on the horizon.
And on a different sort of thought on that, because of Dylan being 16, isn't there a way that you can pull him into the family business?
Yes.
Rather than you pull yourself out, you pull him in.
Yes.
And then you're not trying to tear yourself into compartments. So just rather let it be a natural developing thing where he's more available now, because he's not in school all day and not doing the extras and everything else. He's at home. So the learning that can take place with pulling him into a family business is quite amazing that you've got that opportunity. Because if you were employed somewhere whereby you wouldn't be able to take your 16-year-old son along with you to pull him into but it's your own family business. So if you could involve him in some way. You know, I remember the words that the Moores said in one of their books. I think it's Minding Your Own Business. It's one of the resources that we have at Oikos, and they said if your children are not part of your family dynamic, as in having very specific roles, whether you are running a family business or not, but if you don't involve them on every level, then you're making a mistake. No. They're basically encouraging you to not run your household separately from your children.
Yes.
They're saying everybody should have a part to play and should know what their part is and have the responsibility of their part. And then that just extends even further if you've got a family business. It starts just with the family and the household, but it can go further with the family business. I mean, I know that's how I learned. You know, as I've mentioned before, my mother raised us in entrepreneurship, and we all had our roles, and it wasn't easy. I can't say it was easy because it's tough being part of family business and everything. But the thing, what we learn and what God teaches us through that is many opportunities for Dylan that he would never receive in a system.
No, you're right.
He'd receive academic education and what they've got to offer. Yes. But you've got to offer him so much more in the fact that you've really got a family business.
Yeah, I must say, talking about that, funnily enough, we had an opportunity last year where a whole lot of tooling, because we hardware wholesalers, a whole lot of tooling came up that my husband had been watching. It was some of the products we were already selling in that. And it was funny because it sort of almost came up about 3 months after our son fell ill. And my husband just said to me, we need to make a plan. We need to buy this tooling because this is what's going to set Dylan. It's something that he can run with if he has a permanent problem. He would be able to run it quite easily, make a living for himself. It's quite a fun side of our business, the manufacturing and all that. And so we did. We bought the tooling, and my husband bought it with the idea that if anything, we're starting to set this up ready for Dylan to be able to come in and have something that is his, that will provide for him and a part of our business.
You know what's just coming to me so strongly, Tracey, is the fact that the parents of Dylan are so invested in him more than anybody else.
Yeah.
You went through a traumatic year of being so anxious about his health. There wasn't anybody else that was as concerned about his health and his wealth. There wasn't somebody, you know, crying themselves to sleep as much as his mom when she was anxious about his health. So I'm just saying that picture of your investment in this person is such a strong picture that's coming to me as far as what God wants for us, the way he invests into our lives and the example of him to us that you are being to Dylan, you know, and that as you said, that he's pulled you together, he's pulled your family, your dynamic has changed, and your focus is now not about what is he going to prepare him, make sure he's getting his schooling so that he can get whatever it is to do whatever it is that you don't know.
Yes.
But now you are considering investing, you're considering his future, you're considering being there for him, involving him in the family, and setting him on the path that is one where you see there's more peace, there's less stress and strain in the family and the dynamics of the family, and just everything's calmer from
very calm. And so, pretty much we just trusting in God. We trust that God's got his life, and our whole family is in God's hands, and he knows what's going to happen. And we need to just sit back and enjoy the ride and stop worrying about it.
Well, I think you're telling yourself to stop worrying about it.
I know.
And
I have days where
you've jumped on the ride. You see, you're going on his ride, which is a different ride.
And then I have days where I fall off and I've got to go, no, remember what she said? Get back on and leave it with God. Everything's fine. God will be there, and he will provide. And it's pretty much, if we look back, I mean, the way things have fallen into place, God has. He's been carrying us, and he's been putting
you said,
everything.
You know, why I really wanted you to share with everybody, you didn't feel like you had much to give and all that. But now I was really encouraging you because the fact is that you are taking your stand as a parent. You were concerned about your son's health more than anybody else, and you've made changes. You've tried and tried and tried, and now you found something that's working. You found that God is in the center of it. God's got your attention, and that there is what I believe God is wanting to say to parents. I think he's wanting to say to them, pay attention, please listen. I've got a plan here that I want fulfilled in your lives, one that is better than what you're doing at the moment. This plan of this brother's been loggerheads with one another and things just not going well, and now you say it's so different because God has come into the center, and because you as parents are looking at it the way God wants it looked at, rather than you concerning yourself with your own career or work or whatever. You concern yourself first and foremost with the children that He has entrusted to your care, to raise them for Him.
Yeah.
And that's what is becoming more and more your focus.
Very,
if I can say.
No, you're right.
Okay, well, fantastic. That's
great.
why I'm glad that you're sharing, because I really believe God wants to get parents' attention on this.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think you just got to remember, for us, like, one of the things is, we believe that our children were given to us for a reason. And like my husband said, God gave us Dylan for a reason, and he can't imagine Dylan with any other, you know what I mean? He's been quite amazing.
It's a very specific purpose that He chose you guys and created Dylan.
Parents.
Yes, exactly.
And that we would do well. Well, I hope we're doing well by him. I think we are.
Yes, you are.
We try very hard. But so like I say, I was a nervous homeschool mom beginning, and I'm now at a stage where I'm like, the mention of him going anywhere other than being at home scares me. I'm like, no, stay at home. It's lovely.
Whereas before you were scared to homeschool. Now
I was the other way.
Yeah,
I was trying to get my head around, how do we do this? Now I've gone the other way, and I hope, and if it's God's intention, that my other son will possibly join. But I'm not going to push it. We've put it there and said it's there if you want to do it.
And you said there's signs that might be.
There is. There's a lot of where he's saying, I like, I see. And it's hard. I pick him up from school some days and he's frustrated. And so I do believe it would most probably benefit him so much as well.
Do you know what I say to parents as well, Tracey? And that is that if you look at your boys are 16 and at 18 now they officially men in the world, and all the things that they can have as an adult, licenses and driving cars and all those things. So the thing is that if you've got these 2 years, that's what I suggest, is if you've got a family business and you've investing in Dylan to be able to run something from a family business point of view, and if you think about what you can teach those boys in these years before they're out in being men standing on their own, as it were, you grab that opportunity if you can, because somebody said to me the other day, because we've been going through some structural changes that have required all kinds of new documentation with things, laws changing and all the rest of it, stuff that I've never felt equipped for. But I have to go to God and say, well, Lord, help us with this. What do we do now? And one of the young men that is in Oikos said, nobody ever taught me how to apply for tax or fill in provisional tax forms, or what is UIF and why is it there and why do I need it, and do I need to comply with this? I have to have a business license now because this is the new law. But it's not actually. It's not a given that you have to do that. But how does he know that? Is it just media saying that I've got to do this, and so I just go along with it and pay a whole lot of money I don't need to, and how do I know how to do that? And he's sharing that he doesn't actually feel equipped to handle all of this. And so then we go, well, that's why you need God, because you've got to pray. You've got to check with God. Does He want you to do this? I've got to check with God all the time. Do you want us to do this in Oikos? This is your ministry. It's your heart. You want parents to hear you and to raise children for you and to make them ready for Him. And so how do we go about that? Now there's all these laws and regulations, and you've said that we must obey. And so how do we obey this according to you, God? Not according to what society is or systems are dictating, but rather what is God saying. And so all of that needs to be taught to your children, to your sons. So when they're men, they know what to do with it. Not at this stage of being a married man and going, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I better just do what everybody else is doing. And it's actually theft, because he's paying for a whole lot of stuff he doesn't need to pay for. You see, because he doesn't know the difference, and he doesn't know to check with God necessarily. So I'm just suggesting that it is an opportunity that you have to prepare them for things that are not being prepared for in the world. In fact, in the world, they've been prepared for things of the world. And so that is what the preparation is for. But it's changing all the time.
No, it is.
Changes and changes and changes. So this year it's this, and next year it's something else. And so you can't really prepare them, equip them well enough. Because it's back to this young man, he's saying, they didn't tell me this when I was in school. I wasn't trained or prepared for this. Nobody told me about credit cards and how you can get taken advantage of and what you've got to be careful, how to be a good steward of your finances. How are they teaching them that? And even if they are teaching them that in the system, it changes all the time. But God is consistent, and He's the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. So if we can give them God, we've given them that. We've given them that strength. We've given them that consistency, that God will not fail them. They must go to Him. That is their rock, not go and get counsel from systems that are shaky or unreliable. So I'm just saying those are things that you could be imparting to Brent, whether he continues in the school system or not. Those are things you ought to be preparing him for, and pulling him into your family business. As I say, it's not easy, but if you've got that advantage, we share with them things like VAT returns and bookkeeping and all the things that you now know that you have to run, that you have to look after and take care of. Are you teaching your sons about that? Or are they just getting an education?
No, you're right.
You see, that's my question, because you've got the opportunity to be teaching them those things. So do it. Because they're not going to come out of a system being equipped with that. No, definitely not. You already know that. You said that you've said, because I'm not in the system, so I don't know. So I'm picking up from what you're saying. You said that you see that there's a lot of stuff spent on unnecessary things. So rather use that time that's been spent on unnecessary things to put in what you feel is going to be required and necessary for their adult lives.
No, definitely, you're right. And funny enough, one last thing, talking about the business, it just suddenly dawned on me while I was sitting here. Our business actually started about 22 years ago with my father-in-law. He was actually walking in the cane fields, took the dog for a walk, and God actually put it on him that he was to start this business. And he started the business, and he designed a small range of gate hinges and that. And that is actually where our business started. It was actually from God. And my father-in-law
so generation to generation, you know how I said,
And my father-in-law always says to us, this business is from God. And, you know, and like I say, I can talk all day about the things that have just happened in the business. And
God's hands on it.
It is. It's been amazing. We've had times where, and God's just always provided. And the answers, so it's quite amazing.
That's a gift to give your boys.
It is. Because
just
it's been given to us.
Yes, all what you've learned from that to share that with them.
Yeah, no, it is. So, it's been quite exciting. And next year, we might have another chapter.
Yes, well, you will have.
Definitely.
Yeah, we want to hear about the next chapter.
Yes.
Good.
So,
thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for sharing. I'm sure many are very blessed by that and are supported and encouraged. So let us see which lady out there is ready to come sit in this nice warm seat here by the fire.